So, E3 2019's finally here, and of course, EA has to start it. But I'm not watching all of EA because, fuck that, they're always bad. But I did want to bring some attention to one game I am keeping my eye on cautiously, and that's Jedi Fallen Order. I think what was announced last E3, the idea of a single player Star Wars game, to me at the time kind of seemed like, oh, it's because all the people complained to us that we don't have any single player games and single player games are dead and blah blah blah. So let's make this game to shut them up. That's kind of how I saw Fallen Order. Is just like, oh, EA's making this or producing, funding, whatever, because they're not Respawn's developing it, but I guess EA's producing it. That they're just making this game to shut people up, and I still kind of do hold true to that. But I still want to talk about the little bit of gameplay that we saw. And just give, my thoughts on it. That's kind of the point. Because I'm not talking about, like, Battlefield or FIFA or whatever else EA has planned. That's the only thing I'm kind of interested in. So we saw some gameplay. And graphically, I'm surprised it doesn't look the best. Like, it doesn't look bad, clearly. But then again, it was alpha gameplay. It wasn't like a beta or even close to final release product. But if it comes out in November, you think they'd show us something a little more recent than alpha footage. But it doesn't look amazing. It looks kind of just standard. I'm surprised. Graphically, at least. And then there's two types of gameplay I want to talk about: the melee, or the combat, and the world exploration. The world exploration actually looks good because you use the Force to like interact with certain parts. It's not like, okay, so I've played Star Wars games, but when it comes to action adventure, the only one thing I can really like, besides the Lego games, the only one I can really think about is the Force Unleashed 1. I didn't play 2. I have played other Star Wars games, not like all of them, granted, but I have played other ones. But I think Force Unleashed is probably the most apt comparison because that was the last like really big action adventure Star Wars game. And when it came to traversal and Force Unleashed, like besides opening doors, the Force didn't do too much, if I'm remembering correctly. I mean, I played a shit ton of it, but it's also been a while since I played. Like, yeah, opening doors and maybe like certain events require like basic force push, force pull kind of thing. Even the big Star Destroyer thing was kind of just normal force powers. Whereas in this, like, you're using, I don't know what the hell it is, but like you're able to freeze people kind of thing and freeze machines. There was one section where the vine was too far for you to swing, so you just force pulled the vine, which is like, it's a small thing and it's just another force pull, but it's something. So like the force being used for more intricate platforming and possibly even puzzles that'll be pretty cool. It does look pretty interesting, especially since like they took a little bit of inspiration from Prince of Persia with the wall running, or since it's Respawn Titanfall. But yeah, the actual like traversal and minimal platforming we saw doesn't look bad. I mean, it's still like early on, so let's hope that it gets a little more intricate. Because the pacing between combat and exploration was a little bad. Like, it was like a couple seconds of exploration followed by combat, which I'll get into in a bit. But yeah, the exploration didn't look too bad. I do like the fact that the Force is being used for more thoughtful things as opposed to just like pushing and pulling. Let's talk about combat and mechanics, because it's a Western action game, which is not the same as, Eastern action games. So I won't be comparing this to Devil May Cry. I won't be comparing this to any kind of Platinum games. I won't be comparing them at all, because those are completely different beasts. But let's be honest, if there was a Star Wars game made by some kind of Japanese developer, that would be like an action game by Capcom or Platinum or any kind of thing, that'd be kind of awesome. But I don't see that happening. Anyway, so combat-wise, the main combat, I really hate that I have to say this, but it's true. The main lightsaber combat does look very Souls-like, especially Sekiro. And I'm not just saying that because I finished Sekiro a couple months ago. Because if you just look at it, the idea of like you have to be precise with your swings, the parrying, the dodge rolling, it's not like the Force Unleashed, where for the most part you can just have a block button and then just spam attack buttons and everything and not really try. Or even like other Star Wars games where you just attack things and not really try. you do have to be a little more thoughtful and methodical based on the combat. And I like the idea of it being similar to Souls. The only thing that's similar to Souls is the combat. The mechanics are not the same, so it's not like, oh, he's just saying it's a Souls game because that's the popular thing. No. I'm just saying that because it's how it looked. And that's only the melee combat. There's no, like, from what I can tell, there's no, like, when you die, you have to recollect your force points or head to a checkpoint. I don't know, because the player didn't die. So I don't know. But based solely on combat, it is kind of similar. And I have no doubt they probably took some inspiration from the Souls games. I don't think they took inspiration from Sekiro, because, development was probably around along the same time. So it's probably just a coincidence that the combat is kind of similar. But I have no doubt they took inspiration, but that's it, solely for the combat. That it looks very Souls-like, which could be good. But the problem is that, like, I don't know if they gave him more power than they should have for the demo, but the force powers seem a little overpowered, because, like, in the Force Unleashed, you had a lot of force powers, and they did regenerate, like in this, but they also cost a lot. So, like, if you did force push, you probably got, like, 5 before it had to recharge. And then, like, if you just kept spamming them while it wasn't fully recharged, you get weaker pushes, so it wouldn't do as much. That kind of thing. This one, the player didn't spam, so it didn't seem like we'd have the same problem, but, like, it seems like you're getting these really powerful force moves for very little cost. Like, your force meter would barely reduce and, like, recharge, like, almost as fast. So, like, if you have a whole bar, it'd probably take out, like, 12% of that bar for a really powerful attack. And it's like, that better not be for the demo, and that better just be for the demo, because if that's in the game, that's kind of broken. Because, like, why would you feel the need for melee when the force is so strong? And, like, sometimes, yeah, maybe some enemies might be able to deflect it in some way, or it's not good against some of them. But, like, in general, it just seems a little too powerful, and it doesn't seem balanced well. And there's another bar I thought that would be stamina-based, which looks like it is for enemies, but not for you. I don't know what's up with that third bar, because you had the health bar, which thank God does not regenerate. You need health packs. You had the health bar, the fourth bar, and some other third bar that never depleted. I don't know what that's about. Or at least I didn't notice it deplete. Maybe it's something with the guarding. I don't know. 15 minutes of gameplay wasn't much, apparently. But yeah, like, the thing is that, like, I think because they're going for more realistic-ish combat, like something more akin to the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy as opposed to the prequel trilogy, they're going for a little more realistic combat. It makes it look a little flat. Like, I get you don't want to have these huge, crazy, intricate moves, but, like, because it's going for more realistic, it doesn't seem as fun. Like, I get in this day and age, especially with Western developers, the more realistic it is, the more artful it is, and the more it has a chance of being Game of the Year, and blah, 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 blah. But they forget the fun part. When you play an action game, Eastern or Western, you want it to be fun. And one thing about The Force Unleashed is that, like, it still had some of that realism, but it didn't forget that it's a video game, and to just go over the top as possible. Like, sometimes it had that, where it had just really over-the-top moments. This one, again, we didn't see much, so I can't say the main game might not have this, but it didn't seem to really have those over-the-top moments, which Star Wars, despite all of its quirks, does have those moments over the once in a while. And this didn't really seem to have that, and it makes me worry, because it's fun to have those moments, but if you're going for more realistic and more like, this is a high art game, it's like, yeah, but it's still a game. Give me the fun parts. Don't give me the boring parts. The thing is that, like, with all this said, like, we haven't seen much, so I can't be like, oh, this is gonna be an amazing Star Wars game. This is gonna be an awful one. I can tell you right now, at least the combat's better than freaking the new Battlefront games, because I didn't play those. But, like, you see the lightsaber combat in the game. Oof, boy, that's terrible. So I don't know. I'm going to keep my eye on this game, but something about it just feels off. Like, the entire time I was watching it, just something felt off. And I don't know if it's because the fact that I know EA's behind this somehow and they'll find some way to fuck it up or not. Because, like, well, the director Stig, I forget his last name, but Stig directed God of War 3, and God of War 3 I love. It's so good. And he was involved in the other God of War games before, eventually moving on and stuff. So I have faith in him. I don't know too much about the other guy because I'm not really into Respawn or whatever. So I can see the potential, and I will keep my eye on it. I'm still not sure if I would buy it. And just like I said, something feels off, but it didn't look bad. Like I said, the world traversal, as little as we got, looked alright. The combat, the force stuff seemed a little overpowered, but the combat seemed alright too. Graphics could use some improvements, but that could just be an alpha demo thing, which, again, if it's coming out this November, why are you showing us alpha? Why not at least show us beta? But I don't know. I guess I'll have to wait and see, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that, and only that, because fuck EA, like always. So yeah, something feels off about the game, but I'll keep my eye on it and we'll see how it goes. Alright, well, that's one thing about E3 down. Alright, well, on to the next one.